the active drug PALI 008 is able to take the stress and pressure away from the coma, as well as slowing down the disease activity index, which is, if you let the model progress, it will go up, and we were able to actually slow it down, which is a great measure of clinical success.
Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us for another Virtual Investor What This Means segment. My name is Janine Thomas. I am CEO of JTCIR, and I will be the moderator for this segment. Today, we are excited to welcome Palisade Bio back to our Virtual Investor platform, and I am very pleased to be joined by Dr. Joerg Heyer. He is Head of Translational Science and Medicine of Palisade Bio. Welcome, Joerg.
Thanks, Janine. I'm very pleased. I'm happy to be here.
Well, we're excited to have you. And before we get started, I just want to inform our audience that Palisade Bio is listed on NASDAQ and trades under the ticker PALI. And during today's discussion, the company will be making forward-looking statements. And I encourage everyone to view the company's website at palisadebio.com or the SEC's website for their latest filings and information. So for our audience, Palisade Bio recently presented positive preclinical data of its product candidate PALI 2108 for the treatment of ulcerative colitis at the 2025 Crohn's and Colitis Congress. So for today's segment, we are going to discuss those data and what they mean for Palisade's UC development program. Joerg, so to kick this segment off, can you provide some background on the Crohn's and Colitis Congress?
Yeah, sure, happy to. So the Crohn's and Colitis Congress is founded or held by the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation, whose goal is to kind of foster and advance new treatment options for patients with Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis. And to that effect, they have once a year a large congregation where healthcare providers, scientists, nurses, physicians, drug developers come together and exchange experience, ideas, and start maybe collaborations. So it's a great place to be, to see what's happening in the field, and to come back with new ideas.
Excellent. It seems like a perfect place for you to be able to present your data. So as I mentioned at the start, you presented positive preclinical data with your lead product candidate, PALI 2108, for the treatment of ulcerative colitis. Can you summarize for our audience the data that were presented?
Most certainly, and happy to. So what we tried to show with our poster is basically a preclinical model of a clinical trial where we used an induced mouse model of ulcerative colitis. And, mouse models only model a little part of it, but that's what we have in preclinic. And we were trying to walk the audience through what our drug can do and what we expect the drug to do in the clinic. And so we started out with the, induced with the model, feeding the mice our drug. And then after the end of the study, looking, does our drug, PALI 2108, and its active drug, PALI 008 or 888, does it engage the target in the colon? And we were able to show that our drug reaches the intended target in the colon, and which is it's nice to know. That's the first step. You have to show that you can do something. But then we were looking at efficacy measures for that model. One of them being kind of the colon length. If your colon is inflamed, it really shrinks. If you're not feeling well, we all shrink a little bit. So if your colon gets longer, that means your disease gets better. And we were showing that our drug, PALI, the active drug, PALI 008, is able to take the stress and pressure away from the coma, as well as slowing down the disease activity index, which is, if you let the model progress, it will go up, and we were able to actually slow it down, which is a great measure of clinical success. So having proven that our drug can be efficacious in an ulcerative colitis model, we set out to see why is it efficacious. Can we understand how our drug is working? Because we would like to understand that in the patient too. So first, we looked at the first step is PALI 2108 and its active drug 0008 are inhibitors of the enzyme PDE4, phosphodiesterase 4, in BND4. PDE converts a compound called cyclic AMP into AMP and therefore activates a lot of processes in the cell. So if you have a PDE4 inhibitor, you would expect that you inhibit the enzyme, your substrate level, cycling AMP, would go up. And indeed, in the mouse model, they go up. We can show that we can effectively inhibit the enzyme. Again, that's very important to show that your drug is active and will do what you hope. And the question is now, what are the consequences of inhibiting the enzyme? How does that translate to the inflammatory process? And we were able to show that there are some, so what's known in ulcerative colitis, there are a few pro-inflammatory cytokines, TNF-alpha, IL-23, which mediate the inflammation and damage the tissue. And we were able to show that, we were focusing on TNF-alpha, that with inhibition of PDE4, we reduce the levels of TNF-alpha and therefore reducing the level of inflammation in the colon, in the ulcerative colitis patches. And these are just, posted only limited in space, but these were the efficacies the mechanism for efficacy we presented, and which we feel help explain how our drug can be efficacious. In addition, we then kind of modeled based on the disease value of the values of drug we observed in the mice and the efficacy level. We modeled what to expect in a human patient from what concentration of drug concentration in the blood we would be able to see efficacy. And now we're in the phase 1 clinical trial. We hope to, reaching up to this level with a safe drug.
Joerg, very helpful summary. So certainly exciting developments for this program. So next, can you discuss what these data mean for patients, the differentiation from current treatments, and your overall development program?
Yeah, so now I think that's a great outlook for patients because there are currently quite some drugs approved for ulcerative colitis, and they're efficacious, but they do have severe side effects, and patients don't always feel good on them. Or there are biologics which make it very hard. If you want to travel and you have to take an antibody with you, it's not the ideal situation. It helps patients, but it's great. But patients would like to get something efficacious with it, less intrusive in their life. And PDE4 inhibitors have been shown to be efficacious. And the unfortunate thing is they have strong tolerability issues. PDE4 is an enzyme which is expressed in most every organs of the cell, the brain, and that's where most of the tolerability issues coming, being nauseous, vomiting, headache, and that leads in some trials of PDE4 inhibitors to a high degree of discontinuation, where patients say, I'm sick, I don't feel great. Yeah, the drug is helping me, but I'm still not feeling great. So patients really would like to get safe drugs which help keep their disease under control. And we hope that with our colon-specific or lower GI tract-specific approach, where we deliver the drug right at the site of the disease, which is in the colon, or for Crohn's disease in the lower small intestine, that we do not need to have the high levels of systemic blood exposure that normal PDE4 inhibitors need, therefore providing a much better window of efficacy for the patient, where we don't have to dose so high that the side effects come up. With that, we really hope that we will be able to deliver a safe, efficacious drug to patients.
You're extremely helpful. Thank you for providing that to our audience. Congratulations on your progress so far. Can't wait to have you back for further updates. And with that, this concludes the Virtual Investor What This Means segment featuring Palisade Bio. And I'd like to thank Dr. Heyer for joining us today. As a reminder, Palisade Bio trades on NASDAQ under the ticker PALI. And if you like what you saw today, I encourage you to visit palisadebio.com for more information on the company and to sign up to follow the company to receive their alerts, as well as follow their social channels to stay current on the latest information. And you can also visit virtualinvestorco.com for our latest segments and events calendar. Joerg, thanks again, and I'd like to wish everyone a great rest of your day.
Thanks, Janine, for giving the opportunity to present our data.